It's hard to imagine tough UFC fighters having normal lives. All we think about them is fighting in the ring. But in real life, these fighters are dads too. Being a dad is one of the toughest and most rewarding things in life. Are these last action heroes up for it? Are they setting a good example for their kids? And will their kids follow in their footsteps? In today's list, we'll be telling you about the UFC fighters and their kids and how they really are. Before we jump into it, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn your notifications on so you don't miss any of our new videos. First up at number 1, Daniel Cormier. UFC light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier believes that you measure a man from how he treats his family and his children. Cormier says that his kids mean everything to him. Just being able to spend time with them is all that matters. He loves being called dad. Leaving his legacy to his kids is a positive thing. Cormier and his fiancée, Selena De Leon, have a son that's 4, Daniel II, and a daughter aged 3, Marquita. This fighter finds a special meaning to Father's Day. His first child, Kaden, tragically died in a car accident just a few months after her birth in 2003. Her memory remains close to him. He still thinks about her every single day. Her death is his main motivation to win. Number 2, Johnny Hendricks. Make no mistake, fighters who are also fathers understand how important children are, inside and outside the octagon. They're the most important reason that the fighters are there in the ring. No, it's not just about getting away from their screams and tantrums. It's also about the love and encouragement they give. Top welterweight contender Johnny Hendricks has 3 daughters, ages 1, 3, and 5. Before you have kids or get married, it's a great day to be a son to your dad. But you don't really understand what it means until you have offspring of your own. The day they're born, the day they smile at you, or take their first step, or sleep on your chest, Hendricks cherishes this to his last breath. But having 3 young daughters can also be challenging. He tells us that God is teaching him patience, although he certainly hasn't learned how to turn the other cheek or not beat the crap out of other people. Number 3, Travis Brown. UFC heavyweight Travis Brown's career spans 21 fights. The fighter remembers one bout vividly. In the first round against Alistair Overeem in 2013, Brown can still recall the trouble he was in, the vicious knees to the torso that left him bleeding on the ground. The only thing that pops into his mind, or anything that's left of his brain, is that he does not want to see his kids see him lose or die like that. His dream is to show his kids how good he is and to make them proud. Fighters find motivation in different ways, but for Brown, it's the thought of his 2 sons, Kaleo and Kiwi, that keeps him going. He would have not have had such a successful career if it weren't for his little boys. They give him a sense of direction and keep him grounded. It's their inspiration that dragged him bleeding from the canvas to defeat the formidable Overeem. On his Twitter page, Brown identifies himself first as a, quote, proud father of 2 amazing boys, before he mentions his mission to win a UFC heavyweight belt. To fighters like him, family always comes first. Number 4, Rafael dos Anjos. UFC lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos tells us that his kids depend on him, so he does his best when he fights and trains. Being a father doesn't necessarily give a fighter an advantage in the octagon, but it may provide valuable necessities, focus, meaning, a distraction from the training grind, even a strong foundation and purpose. Dos Anjos enjoys the fact that he can come home and forget about his training. He spends his free time playing video games and riding bikes with his 2 sons, Gustavo, 15, and Rafael, 6. Sometimes he has a hard session, but at home, he has his kids to look forward to. He feels truly blessed, even if he feels tired of everything. He has them take his mind off things. They give him extra motivation to keep him going forward. Next up at number 5, Frank Trigg. For many fighters, children offer a break from the drudgery of training, a welcome relief from their all-consuming jobs. Former Icon Sport middleweight champion Frank Trigg is a father of 2 sons and a daughter. He doesn't want his children to follow in his footsteps, and he doesn't want them to be compared to him. The physical price is too severe. He confides in us that, as a good parent, you want to protect your kids, so it's safe to say that Trigg is looking out for his kids, even though his profession is dangerous. Trigg wants his sons to be better than him. He says, how many NASCAR drivers do you know whose kids are NASCAR drivers? How many drag racing drivers are there whose kids are drag racing drivers? There are very few. Now, if the kid really has a passion for it, and they really want to be an MMA fighter, that's cool. But are they going to be any good at it? Genetically, they should be, but who knows? His son is showing interest in becoming a fighter like his dad. Trigg advises against it, telling his son to choose another sport like tennis. Good choice. Tennis is a sport where you don't get your head bashed in. Number 6, Ronald Assumpção. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion Ronald Assumpção is the fiancé of a pioneering female MMA fighter, Debbie Purcell. Debbie doesn't have kids, but Ronald has a 14-year-old son. Having grown up around Jiu-Jitsu his whole life, the teenager has not surprisingly expressed an interest in becoming a professional fighter. He's been training since he was 5. His dream is to become a fighter because he just wants to relax relax all day, and then train. He doesn't quite understand what it takes to be a fighter and a winner in the ring. Purcell believes the teen's misunderstanding may come from jiu-jitsu being an easier sport. Poor kid, he has no idea what's waiting for him. But his stepmother concedes that if the boy really wants to pursue a career in the octagonal ring, she will support him as long as he earns a college degree first and has something to fall back on. Number 7, Benji Radek. Could MMA parents run the risk of seeing their kids get the snot beaten out of them, knocked unconscious, and suffer potential life-altering injuries? Middleweight Benji Radek doesn't have children, but he's planning on being a father sometime soon. How would he react if his children wanted to follow in his footsteps? Will he beat the hell out of them, or will he let them get on with it? Here are his thoughts on the matter. Quote, I'd tell them to get ready for a big pile of crap because the majority of what you get from the sport is just a bunch of hardship. Radek is currently appealing what he considers an early stoppage of his last fight, a knockout loss to Scott Smith at a Strikeforce event in April. Quote, on the flip side, all the things you gain from those hardships and trials and tribulations you can't replace. So I think I would definitely not push my kid into it, but support them in everything that they want to do. I wouldn't be against it at all. Number 8, Jens Pulver. Featherweight Jens Pulver has a son. His son declared that he wants to become an MMA fighter just like his dad. Pulver tells us this, I'm all for it, but I say it with reservation because I want him to have a realistic idea of what it actually entails. It's a lot of hard work. It's not easy and fun. It's a job. If you're going to do it professionally, it has to be a job. You have to make a lot of sacrifices, and it's a very selfish sport that leaves one little time for much anything or anyone else. This is the best advice from one of the best there is. You graduate college, you can do whatever you want, Pulver said. That's what my mom said to me, and I was trying to be an MMA fighter when it was stupid. It was illegal in 3 states. I made $750 my first UFC. There was no fame. It was a good backup plan, but also to live away from home and gain some real-world experience. Only then will his son be able to gauge whether he really wants to become a fighter or if he's just passing fancy. Here's some great advice from this octagonal legend. You would think they would really start to figure it out then, as you're figuring out who you are for the next 5 years going to school. If you still want to train MMA while you're getting your grades, for sure, you don't have to listen to me. You're over 18. You can do whatever you want. These are great words that sum up the thoughts of all these great fighters. Education should come first. It's not so great fighting to the bitter end, getting your brain smashed to a pulp, and with no other options in life but to die on your feet. Isn't it better to have an education to fall back on rather than the octagonal canvas? You parents, present or future out there, what would you do? Would you encourage your kid to get into the ring straight away rather than send them to school first? Send us your thoughts and tell us what you think. Do you think these fighters are good parents or not? Are they damaging their kids as bad as they're damaging their opponents themselves? That's it for today, guys. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and leave us a comment down below in the comments section.